No. No. No, it's not okay, Barbara. It's not okay. You cannot defend him. It's not okay.
You cannot always be assaulted. Call the cop. I support you because I told you are different. So now you are not like your family.
Support your sister.
Yes, I'm here to support
the
my
same
sister.
And
I'll always
who the pastor told you that she was a witch.
Which pastor?
Am I right?
Pastor. Name that pastor. Which pastor told me my sisters?
The same sisters.
Which pastor? Name the pastor. Is it you? You are a pastor. You. You don't know whether you are or not. You are a pastor, my friend. Get the f*** out of here before I fuck you up. We didn't come here for you. We did not come here for you. Don't let me hurt you. Leave. We didn't come here for you. We came to get something.
Can I promise you something?
Promise me.
If I don't kill your sister, then me, I am fake.
The man you see standing there, on the pulpit and a congregation at his feet. That's the famous pastor Sylvester Ofori, a pastor who was once revered as a spiritual guide. He preached with such passion that people believed he had the power to heal, to uplift, to save. But behind that pulpit, Sylvester had a dark side, a side that would shock his followers and leave the world questioning how someone so trusted could commit an act so vile. Just hours prior, he promised to kill his wife, and moments later, he would fulfill his promise. On the morning of August 8, 2020, the unthinkable happened. Sylvester's wife would be found shot dead multiple times in front of a bank. And the details of that day were as chilling as they were tragic. As investigators scrambled to piece together the horrifying events, they uncovered a disturbing truth. Sylvester had planned this all along. What came next, the revelation would send shockwaves through his congregation and the entire community. Now, let's look at the life and death of Barbara Tommey.
Come out from where you are. Are you hearing me, somebody? Some of you are at a comfortable place. God said, stop building walls around you.
Barbara Tommey was born on January 23, 1998, in Orlando, Florida, to a loving family. Known for her intelligence, determination, and ambition, Barbara excelled in every aspect of her life. She attended Marville University, where she earned a master's degree in strategic communications and leadership, all while balancing a full-time job at Navy Federal Credit Union. Barbara's love for life and passion for helping others made her a beacon of hope in her community. In addition to her career, 27-year-old Barbara was deeply religious, finding her spiritual home in church. It was there that she met Sylvester Ofori, a pastor who seemed to be everything she needed at the time. At 39 years old, Sylvester was a renowned pastor at Floodgates of Heaven International Ministries, a church that Barbara regularly attended.
This light. How did man make everything your eyes see right now? The ideology, the idea, the vision, everything was in man. It was in man. The thoughts, the creative ideas, the power is in you already. That's right. That's right. Is somebody hearing me? Yes.
His reputation as a powerful and charismatic spiritual leader was solidified both in the pulpit and on the speaking circuit as a motivational figure. He was often hailed as an anointed man with divine gifts, with some even calling him a prophet. Yet beneath the reverent image he cultivated, his actions were far from virtuous. Sylvester's charm quickly ensnared Barbara, drawing her deeper into church life, where she became increasingly involved, especially with Sunday school. Soon, the spiritual connection would become something much more complex and intimate. Before long, their bond blossomed into a romance that seemed to align perfectly with their shared devotion to their faith. They eventually got married in a ceremony that was filled with the kind of joy and promises that accompany any young couple's union. To the outside world, they were the picture of happiness. Barbara, a promising young woman, had married a respected, well-known pastor. His reputation as a godly man gave their relationship an added layer of credibility. But despite their seemingly perfect marriage, it was far from what it seems. While everything appeared fine on the outside, Barbara's family, particularly her sister, harbored growing doubts. They saw signs of trouble that Barbara had chosen to ignore, convinced that Sylvester was the man she wanted to spend her life with. Even though the emotional support and admiration they shared at first seemed unshakable, Barbara's instincts told her something was off. As the months passed, the relationship that began with the promise of love and faith slowly began to deteriorate. What started as passionate devotion and mutual respect quickly turned darker. Sylvester's controlling nature began to emerge, and what had once been charming behavior now felt suffocating and manipulative. The emotional abuse started subtly, but soon escalated, with Barbara feeling trapped in a marriage that no longer reflected the joy and unity she once felt. Her hope that things would improve kept her holding on, but the growing tension and unpredictable outbursts began to wear on her. The man she once admired had morphed into someone unrecognizable, and no matter how much she tried to justify his behavior or stand by him, it became increasingly impossible to ignore the undeniable truth. Things were not as they seemed. Despite her family's concerns and the mounting evidence of his abusive tendencies, Barbara remained in the marriage, unable to escape the cycle of manipulation and control. But this was only the beginning. On September 7th, 2020, Barbara's family witnessed a terrifying scene. In the video, Barbara's brother is seen gripping Sylvester in a chokehold, his voice trembling with fury as he demands an explanation for why Sylvester had assaulted his sister. Sylvester, in a fit of rage, threatened to kill Barbara during a heated argument. Her brother recorded the incident, where Sylvester calmly warned,
"Try me. All right. Try me. Okay. Try me. All right. Try me."
No, sorry. Why? It was unnecessary.
Don't give him the chance to bring these things.
Don't do that, Barbara. What if you came here by yourself?
Isn't this the same sister that you fucked up? What did I fuck up about my sister? What did I fuck up about my sister?
Perry, what did I tell you? Let him go in the room.
Perry, leave
Perry.
him alone. Perry, leave him alone.
We should go. You don't need this right now. Okay. All right. But you are the same person who supported me at the wedding, right? I was supporting you at the wedding because you were fake. You were fake. You were lying.
Perry.
You were fake. You and everybody that follows you. You were fake. I supported you because I thought you were different. So now you are not like your family.
Support your sister.
Yes, I'm here to support
The
my
same
sister.
sister
And I'll
who
always
the
support
pastor
her.
told you that she was a witch.
Which pastor?
Am
Name
I
that
right?
pastor. Name that pastor. Which pastor told me my sister's
The
name?
same sisters.
Which pastor? Name the pastor. Is it you? You are a pastor. You. You don't know whether you are or not. You are a pastor, my friend. Get the fuck out of here before I fuck you up. We didn't come here for you. We did not come here for you. Don't let me hurt you. Leave. We didn't come here for you. We came to get something.
Can I promise you something?
Promise me.
If I don't kill your sister, then me, I am fake.
You got the video, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Right, call the cops.
No, it's
No, call the cops. Jen. No.
Barbara,
Fanya.
stop that.
Fanya, you don't play with threats like this. Jen, I'm calling the cops.
Perry's
No, you don't play with threats. Please call the cops.
only gonna escalate.
It should escalate. He's threatening you in front of me. He said he's going to kill you. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
All right, just make sure it's there so we can go. If that's it, let's go. Let's just get the hell out of here.
Is it?
Barbara's family was terrified when they learned of the escalating threat she faced, and they desperately tried to intervene. They begged her to contact the authorities, urging her to take the necessary steps to protect herself. But Barbara, caught in a web of denial, refused to take action. She was reluctant to escalate the situation, convinced that doing so would only make things worse. Despite enduring both emotional and physical abuse, Barbara struggled to break free. She was trapped in a vicious cycle that many victims of domestic violence experience, an overwhelming sense of emotional dependency where the victim feels paralyzed, unable to leave, no matter how dangerous the situation becomes. Her family, frustrated by their inability to help, continued to push her to call the police, to leave Sylvester and seek refuge elsewhere. They saw the threat for what it was, a danger that only grew more perilous with each passing day. But Barbara clung to the belief that things would somehow get better. She believed that Sylvester would change. She held on to the hope that their love, faith, and commitment could overcome the violence that was tearing her apart from the inside out. But that chilling threat would prove to be the prelude to what happened the next day. The following morning, on September 8, 2020, Barbara went to work as usual, unaware that Sylvester had made the decision to end her life that day. At around 10 a.m., as Barbara walked from her car to her office building at Navy Federal Credit Union, Sylvester was already waiting. Without warning, he approached her from behind and shot her multiple times at point-blank range. The horrific murder was caught on security cameras, ensuring there was no doubt about what had occurred. Sylvester, seemingly unfazed by his actions, stood still for a moment, almost as if in a daze, completely unshaken by the brutal act he had just committed. Then, without a word, walked away from the scene and disappeared. When police arrived at the scene, they found Barbara's lifeless body outside her workplace. Witnesses had already called 911, and officers quickly secured the area. Barbara's colleagues were in shock, unable to comprehend what had just unfolded. Sylvester, however, was nowhere to be found. The police wasted no time in launching a manhunt for the suspect. They tracked Sylvester to his home, where they found him and arrested him without incident. His calm demeanor as he was taken into custody stood in stark contrast to the brutal crime he had just committed.
We want to make sure you don't miss any of the other big stories from the day, and we have a major update in the death of a woman outside the Navy Federal Credit Union along Millennium Boulevard. Tonight, Orlando police tell us that the victim is 27-year-old Barbara Tommey. They say her husband, Sylvester Ofori, shot her outside the credit union where she worked. Her husband has been arrested and is now facing charges.
In a press conference earlier today, police are calling the shooting a calculated crime. News 6's Mark Lehman has an update on the investigation.
During an update with the Orlando police, investigators say they were able to arrest the suspect in yesterday's shooting without any further violence, as that man now faces first-degree murder charges in the killing of his wife. We're learning more about his background and a previous run-in with officers.
Her family was understandably very shaken and distraught.
Detectives say it was a calculated crime that happened quickly outside the Navy Federal Credit Union on Tuesday. As Barbara Tommey was arriving for work in the morning, Orlando police say her estranged husband, Sylvester Ofori, fatally shot her several times.
They were going through a divorce, and they were estranged for approximately 3 months.
Investigators wouldn't elaborate about any warning signs that might have led up to the violence, but court records show a fight between the couple in 2016, something that resulted in resisting arrest charges for Ofori that were later.
The investigation into Barbara's death was thorough and swift. The security footage of the shooting, combined with witness testimony, painted a clear picture of the cold-blooded execution. The police gathered evidence that revealed Sylvester had been abusive toward Barbara for years. There were multiple instances when the police were called to the home due to domestic disturbances. In 2016, during one of these incidents, Sylvester was arrested for resisting an officer. Yet Barbara remained loyal, refusing to leave his side. Her deep love for Sylvester, coupled with a sense of duty and the fear of losing everything she had built, kept her trapped in a vicious cycle of abuse. As the abuse intensified, her family became increasingly desperate to intervene, but their efforts were often met with resistance. Sylvester's ability to present himself as a man of God made the situation even more shocking, leaving many in disbelief. The man who led his congregation with a message of faith had turned into a cold-blooded killer. Sylvester's arrest was a moment of mixed emotions for Barbara's family. While they were relieved to know that he was in police custody, it was impossible to reconcile the man they once knew as a spiritual leader with the man who had killed Barbara. The police charged Sylvester with first-degree murder. However, justice was far from over. Following Sylvester Ofori's arrest, his trial began in 2024. The case shocked everyone, not just because of the brutality of the crime, but because of the man responsible. Sylvester Ofori had been known for his charismatic and spiritual presence, leading his church and offering motivational speeches. The man who preached love and faith had turned into a cold-blooded killer.
Sylvester Ofori was very subdued and quiet while facing a judge this afternoon. He's accused of murdering his wife Barbara Tommey as she went to work at Navy Federal Credit Union on Tuesday morning. Prosecutors telling the judge today the killing was caught on video.
Video surveillance, which shows Mr. Ofori not only his wife, but then stand over her body and put additional rounds into her head.
Ofori is pastor of this church, Floodgates of Heaven on Coburn Avenue in Orlando. No one answered the door here today, but on his Facebook page, Ofori calls himself a prophet.
He's got quite a social media following where he's, speaks to his followers and called himself a prophet, his followers.
After the police went to this apartment building on Raleigh Street where Ofori and Tommey had at one point lived together. Investigators say they brought the SWAT team and eventually found him in the home.
We had a good feeling that he was going to be in there. We don't believe there was any risk to the public or immediate danger to the public.
Police have not said what led up to the attack, but we are told Tommey and Ofori were getting a divorce. Court records also show that in 2016, Ofori was arrested for resisting an officer who responded to an argument between the two.
Someone committed a heinous act of violence towards a loved one, and there's unfortunately no excuse for that.
Sylvester's defense team did not dispute the fact that he killed Barbara, but they argued that his actions were driven by emotional distress and psychological strain from his troubled marriage and financial instability. They presented a narrative of a man pushed to the brink by a series of personal issues, implying that the murder was the result of a moment of uncontrollable rage. But the prosecution was resolute in their case. They painted a much darker picture of Sylvester's behavior. The prosecution argued that Sylvester had been emotionally and physically abusive toward Barbara for years. They presented evidence of prior domestic disputes, including a 2016 arrest for resisting an officer, and testimony from family members about his threatening behavior. The prosecution pointed to the chilling video recorded by Barbara's brother, where Sylvester had openly threatened to kill her just a day before the shooting. The defense's argument that Sylvester acted in the heat of the moment fell flat in the face of overwhelming evidence. Surveillance footage from the day of the murder clearly showed Sylvester approaching Barbara and shooting her at point-blank range. The methodical nature of the attack and the security footage provided irrefutable evidence of premeditation. This wasn't a crime of passion, as the defense suggested. It was the culmination of months, if not years, of escalating abuse. Barbara's family members gave emotional testimony during the trial, describing the years of emotional and physical abuse that Barbara had endured. They spoke of how Barbara had tried to hold the marriage together, believing that Sylvester would change, and how their family had tried, in vain, to get Barbara to leave him. Soon, the jury deliberated and reached a verdict.
This hour, a man who called himself a prophet is going on trial for killing his wife.
Sylvester Ofori was the leader of an Orlando church and was arrested in 2020. West 2's Bob Hazen reports the murder happened outside the victim's workplace.
The deadly Was allegedly caught on surveillance camera, and today we learned that the pastor will admit that he killed his wife. Sylvester Ofori in court today ahead of the start of his trial. Orlando police say back in 2020 he shot his wife, Barbara Tommey, as she was walking into work at a Navy Federal Credit Union. Ofori was a pastor at a church called the Floodgates of Heaven on Coburn Avenue in Orlando. He apparently called himself a prophet and had his followers at the church call him a prophet as well. In court today, his lawyer told the judge he will not argue that Ofori didn't do it, but he will challenge why he did it.
I'm going to concede that the homicide took place, that Mr. Ofori committed the homicide, and Mr. Ofori caused the decedent. I'm not going to concede premeditation. Okay.
The prosecutors have the video and recorded interviews with Ofori in which he allegedly admits to killing his wife. The issue of whether Tommey's killing was premeditated will be the key here. Ofori charged with first-degree murder, which would put him in prison for life. Reporting at the Orange County Courthouse, Bob Hazen.
On July 25, 2024, after a 3-day trial, Sylvester Ofori was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The man who had once preached the Word of God and led his congregation with a powerful voice was now sentenced to live the rest of his life behind bars. Despite the guilty verdict, Sylvester Ofori refused to take responsibility for his actions. Earlier in the legal proceedings, he had rejected a plea deal that would have resulted in a 50-year sentence, convinced that his defense team could secure a lighter sentence of 15 or 16 years. However, that gamble ultimately failed, and the consequences were far worse than he anticipated. But the sentencing trial didn't bring the closure Barbara's family needed. No amount of justice could undo the loss of their loved one, nor could it fill the void left by her untimely death. They struggled to come to terms with the fact that the man they had once trusted, the man who had been part of their community, was the very one responsible for ending Barbara's life. Barbara's family was devastated by the loss of a woman who had so much potential and promise. The community was left in disbelief as the details of Barbara's marriage and Sylvester's abusive behavior came to light. Vigil services were held, and people from all walks of life gathered to honor Barbara's memory. Her tragic death became a rallying cry for the fight against domestic violence, highlighting the need for greater awareness and intervention before it's too late. Barbara's story is a tragic reminder of the often hidden nature of domestic violence. It highlights how, for many victims, the danger comes from someone they love and trust. For family members and friends of those in abusive relationships, Barbara's story serves as a call to action, encouraging them to look for the signs of abuse, to provide support, and to ensure that victims have access to the resources they need to escape. Her family's commitment to continuing the fight for justice and spreading awareness about the dangers of domestic violence ensures that her story will never be forgotten. While no amount of justice can bring Barbara back, the lessons learned from her life and death can save others from suffering the same fate. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below, and if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.